All right. Well, welcome back to my channel. My name is John Mazzara with Remax Results. I have a very special guest today. I have El Carane Tua. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Kind of. El Carnley Tua. Yes.
Okay, very cool. And he's with the MHFA. He's a business development rep and event manager, and he is extremely knowledgeable, of course, about MHFA and all of their programs. I'm going to let him take over and talk to us about who MHFA is and highlight a couple of their special programs. So, El, take it from there.
All right. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you having me on here. Hi, everyone. My name is El Carnley Tua, business development rep and event manager here at Minnesota Housing. And really, Minnesota Housing is here to provide safe, affordable homes in the location and area of your choice. And so one of the things that Minnesota Housing does on top of supportive housing, rental housing, and a bunch of other things is really home ownership. And that's what we're going to talk about here today, John. So once again, thank you. So on the screen, we have our down payment and closing cost loans, and I wanted to have this outlined more of a grid to just re-outline how many different down payment and closing cost loans we have available. And I'll talk more in depth about each one. But as you can see on this grid, we have loans that go up to $18,000, and they're available with different programs such as our startup program or our step up program. We're not going to talk too much about those in this particular this presentation, but we're really just going to talk about the down payment that's available, because we know at Minnesota Housing that folks have the credit, they have the income, but really they don't. Not a lot of folks have $20,000, $18,000 laying around for that down payment to make homeownership a reality, and that's where we come in with our our lending partners and our real estate partners to go ahead and make that a reality.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yep. So I was just going to go through it. Did you have any questions before I get to the monthly payment loan?
One of the questions I'm going to have for you is if somebody, after they're done watching this presentation and wanted to go forward, where
Mhm.
would they be able to find out more about this? I know I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse there, but
Yeah.
where could they find out more about this as far as from a lender perspective, qualifying perspective, maybe a resource, a website, something like that?
Absolutely. So they would go to mnhousing.gov. And I'm sure, John, you can drop the link in the in when this is all done. So mnhousing.gov, they can click on search and find a lender. And then from there, they can search either by zip code or by maybe there's a company that they work with, a financial institution. Their financial institution may be approved with us. But yeah, the first thing is going on our website, finding an approved lender, and going from there and contacting them.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I want to start with the monthly payment loan, and that the monthly payment loan is available with both our startup and step up first mortgage. One of the things I like to highlight is that you don't need the full 18,000 in order to. You don't need to take out the full 18,000. So you can just take out 11,000, 5,000, whatever the case may be. But really, it goes up to 18,000 if the need is required. And so it's the highest income limit available, and it's available with both of our programs. It's a 10-year term, meaning that after 10 years, you'll pay on it, and it'll be paid off right after 10 years, and the interest rate's going to be equal to the first mortgage, right? So at this point, if interest rates are at 7%, your first mortgage will be 7%, and then your monthly down payment loan will then be 7% as well as you're making payments. Amortized loan payment as well. And then we'll just talk more here about the monthly payment loan. We'll see here. It's available once again with our startup program and our step up program with the income limits applying. Now, next we have the deferred payment loan. So that's a 0% deferred loan, no payments until the first mortgage is paid in full, and loan amounts up to 16,500. And then here's the deferred loan income limits, right? So that's something that when folks are looking to essentially when the lender's going to take a look at your financial picture, they're going to take a look at what the income is. There's two different income qualifications that are with our startup program with the deferred payment loan, and so they're going to take a look at that. But here's what we have for the 11 county metro area, Dodge and Homestead County.
Well, that's very generous. That covers
Yes.
most people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that in my role, I go out and talk to community organizers loan officers, whomever, really just to get the word out that we don't only serve low income households, right? We're really trying to make homeownership a reality for Minnesotans, as many Minnesotans as we possibly can. And so that's why I wanted to outline these income limits, at least for the deferred payment loan. We can go back and take a look at the just the overall programs for startup and step up as well. Then we have the deferred payment loan plus, right? And so it'd be the same requirements as a deferred payment loan, but the borrower would also need to meet two of the four eligible criteria. So a household of four or more, a household member who is disabled, a front-end ratio of 28% or higher, or a sole head of household with at least one eligible dependent. And the way that we consider an eligible dependent is a household member who is under the age of 18, a disabled household member, or a senior age 62 or older. Now, the limitation with that is that a household must include one eligible dependent that is not, or sorry, one adult that is not an eligible dependent, if that makes sense. Any thoughts, John? I know that you work with Minnesota Housing. Have you had clients that have used our deferred payment loan or monthly payment loan?
I have not. The monthly payment, absolutely, up to the 18,000 has been fantastic. People with $1,000, at least under the previous criteria, were able to, to borrow and buy a house using the deferred loan or the monthly payment loan, I'm sorry, to cover the gap that they didn't have for the down payment and the closing costs. So it has definitely, you folks have definitely increased home ownership for many people that otherwise would not have been able to do it. So it's been wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And to your point, yes, it is $1,000 to access the down payment and closing cost loans. We believe that there should be some skin in the game, right, to utilize the program. So just $1,000 or 1% of the purchase price, whichever is lower. Typically, it's $1,000, and that's usually like the earnest money, right? Or even paying for the inspection or appraisal. So there's that. One thing I want to highlight too here, we're gonna move into the first generation homebuyer program. And that one, there's a lot of fanfare about that. That's going to help a lot of folks make homeownership a reality, and that's launching in spring of 24. So this program is a deferred interest-free and forgivable down payment and closing cost loan up to $35,000. 50% of the loan is forgiven after 10 years, and then the balance is forgiven at the 20th anniversary date. Now, in order to be eligible for forgiveness, the borrower must reside in the home throughout the forgiveness date. Borrowers will need to sign a note and mortgage specific to the first generation homebuyer loan, as well as the homebuyer affidavit, just saying that, hey, I truly am a first generation home buyer. The first generation home loan may be eligible for subordination if the borrower is using our step up program to refinance. So in short, let's say interest rates are at 7 right now. Interest rates drop later this fall to 2%. They could refinance, right? If they're eligible to, they could refinance into our step up program, get the lower rate, and not have to pay off that loan right away. So there's also that benefit as well.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. And then borrower eligibility. A borrower may be qualified as a first generation home buyer if they and at least one of their parents or legal guardians have never owned a home or owned a home and lost it due to foreclosure. So that's our eligibility criteria for that portion of it.
Now
And I also, oh, sorry, go ahead.
the owned a home but lost it due to foreclosure, does that mean somebody themselves, like let's say a borrower in 2010 lost, but their parents owned a home, but they personally lost their home and have never bought again. Does that qualify them?
No, unfortunately, it's for the parents and guardians.
Oh, so the parents have to have lost a home,
Yes, parents or
not
guardians.
not the borrower. Okay, got
Correct.
it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And then the program like I said, offers up to $35,000 um, through the startup program mortgage, and the borrower is going to be required to have a startup first mortgage loan in order to access this program. So this is going to be in line with our startup program. We were going to require that homebuyer education be completed prior to closing as well. And the funds cannot be used for like value gap coverage between the purchase price and the appraisal, seller closing costs, or paying off debts.
Okay.
But one cool thing about this program is that this particular loan can be used with other community down payment and down payment loans or grants. The one caveat is that it cannot be combined with the other first gen down payment closing cost loan that's available to through MMCDC.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you take third position, or do you need to always be in second position?
That is a question that we're still working out. I mean, I don't have the information to answer that as far as lien position goes.
Okay, but you are stackable to some degree, as
Yeah,
long as.
we are stackable. Just to what position, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yep. And so the first generation loan is a deferred interest-free and forgivable loan. Half are forgiven after year 10 and the rest after the 20th anniversary date. And once again, to be eligible for forgiveness, the borrower must reside in the home through the forgiveness date, and only 1 to 2 unit dwellings are eligible.
Okay.
Yeah. So, when folks talk about getting started, right, we talked about going out and talking to one of our approved lenders on our website or participating lenders on our website. Another great action to take is to reach out to the Minnesota Homeownership Center. So the Minnesota Homeownership Center is a network of nonprofits that offer homebuyer education amongst other financial literacy courses as well. And that's going to be required for borrowers to take that first-time homebuyer education class. And to be honest, there's a lot of down payment loans throughout the entire state that we still require that, right? So there's community ones, there's neighborhood ones that require homebuyer education in order to access that too. So the Minnesota Homeownership Center is where we would direct folks to go and get that process started. From there, we're going to say, contact a lender. When I mentioned before, mnhousing.gov, contact a lender. This is where our Find a Lender page looks like. You can look by location or name, or also if you speak a different language, you can search by additional languages as well. So, and then next, John, I know you'll like this, connect with a real estate professional to help find you the right home, of course. So we got to give a shout out to John. But yeah, so that's it in a nutshell here. And of course, once everything comes together and closing happens, you go out, grab the keys and celebrate. So that's pretty much our down payment closing cost loans in a nutshell. Once again, the first generation program will be coming out sometime this spring. It's not out quite yet, and we're still working on developing and rolling it out. So stay tuned.
That's outstanding. Okay. This is just a great program. It's helped a number of my buyers buy houses. It's great to know that your programs are stackable to a degree. If there's extra money, they can find somewhere. And now, credit score wise, I think it's a 640, or is it 650 now that you guys?
As low as 640.
640. Okay.
Hmm.
And you're going to work with FHA, VA, conventional, any of those three. How about rural development?
Yep. RD, VA. Yep.
So every
Conventional.
type of loan.
FHA. Yeah.
Pretty much. Okay, great, great. Well, everybody that's watching, this is a great option. If your lender that you're working with now doesn't offer it, I'm going to encourage you to seek a lender that does. Everybody is eligible throughout the state of Minnesota, so you don't have to live just in the Twin Cities County, at least for the 18,000 up to $18,000 loan. That's across the state, correct, Al?
Yes. Across the state. Yeah. Across the state.
So if you're watching this and you're not in the Twin Cities, it doesn't mean that you can't use it. What I find sometimes is that people like to use a smaller bank or lender, and I have nothing against them. However, they may not be on the approved list, and you may not hear about this program if your lender doesn't offer it, which would be a real shame. That's why I want to encourage you to, evaluate this in your search for home financing and see if it works, because if you could borrow $18,000, you could use some of the money that you didn't have for a down payment, for either additional updating or home improvements or furniture or paying off your debt or anything else. But you don't need 20% down. You don't need a large down payment. You need $1,000 and the appropriate credit score and income in order to qualify.
Yeah. And once again, I can't stress enough, go to our website, mnhousing.gov, talk to a lender just to ask questions and get started. And once again, go to the homebuyer, the Minnesota Homeownership Center too, as well, nonprofit. They'll be able to provide resources, information, guidance, and get you where you need to be.
Yep, and their home buying classes are both in person and online. I think you have the option
Correct.
of doing either.
Yes.
And they're generally about 8 hours, as what I've seen. Now, do you know, L, is there one that, like, let's say frameworks or something, is there one that goes across all of them, or does anyone you pick work across all the programs?
Yeah, so we have a list of approved homebuyer education classes. Now I can go back and read those here. Let's see here. We have Framework, Homestretch, the Freddie Mac Credit Smart, Pathways, and Realizing the Pathways Home, and then Realizing the American Dream as well.
Great. Now, all of those would work. They take one class, and that's going to work across all your programs.
Mhm.
Fantastic. Okay, wonderful. Um, is there a phone number that they should call, or should they pretty much work through their lender and work through the website?
They can call, let's see here. I think we might have, I would say work through the website. Typically we'd have the phone number here. I don't have that on the slide, unfortunately.
No problem.
But mnhousing.gov, go there and you'll find our number for our partner solutions team if you have any questions before, you want to make a move to either reach out to a lender or reach out to the Minnesota Homeownership Center.
That's wonderful. Well, this has been just fantastic. I hope everybody watching takes advantage of it, or at least looks into it to see if it would work for you. Elle, is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience before I go ahead and stop our recording?
No, that's it. Thank you so much, John, for having me here.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you all.